All right, this is fourth marking period study guide questions and answers for Speak, starting with My Life as a Spy. Why is Melinda spying on Rachel? Rachel is now dating Andy. And although Rachel and Melinda are no longer friends, there is that old friendship between them. And Melinda wants to check up on her and protect her, make sure nothing bad happens to her. So she's just watching, just scoping it out. How does Melinda warn Rachel about Andy? She writes her a note. At this point, she's very passive in her thinking, and she hasn't got quite to that aggressive stage, so she's doing everything sort of slowly coming out. Mr. Net gives the option to all the failing students that they can do an extra credit report on cultural influences at the turn of the century. Melinda decides to write about the suffragettes. She turns in this report. It's great, but Mr. Nex says that she has to deliver it in front of the class. She's very against this. She doesn't like that idea. So she goes to talk to her friend David. They get together and he makes photocopies, or they make photocopies, I believe, and she gives them out in class, and she stands up in the front with a poster saying that she's going to remain silent. David afterwards defends Mr. Nex D, which does not seem to be very fair to Melinda, because she worked very hard on it. She thought she stood up for what she believed in, and she got dragged down the principal's office instead. And he says, but you got it wrong, Melinda. The suffragettes were all about speaking up, screaming for their rights. You can't speak up for the right to be silent. That's letting the bad guys win. So he's telling her, you can't just be quiet. You have to stand up and speak for what you believe in. And this is the point where she realizes that. She starts to change her mind. She's not going to be, even if she is reprimanded, she can't stay silent anymore. If you would like some more information about the suffragettes, there's a link for you on the suffragettes. What does Melinda's yard work symbolize metaphorically about her inner life? She goes outside in this chapter, in the Real Spring chapter, and she starts to rake leaves in her backyard and get rid of all that muck. And it's a cleaning up process. She says the leaves don't like me cleaning out all the rot. There's these dry leaves on top, but underneath they're all slimy and nasty, and they're beginning to decompose and rot. And she's going in and cleaning them all out. And when she gets underneath, there's some green growth underneath, trying to get out, some little green shoots. And it's an idea of her cleaning herself up, metaphorically, letting herself have some new growth in her life. How does it help the tree when she does this? It's because her dad comes out and comments about the tree being diseased. Probably he wouldn't have come out and saw that if he hadn't noticed that she was out there raking the leaves. So it's that little tiny effort, that little bit that she puts in to uncover, that leads to later on about things. He comes out and thinks about other improvements he can do outside the house, and it's that first step. Her first step has brought attention to the problem, even though she starts to regret it because she thinks about all the work she's going to have to do from here on out, but it's a good thing in the long run. How might the tree symbolically represent life? This seems pretty obvious. The tree is life. Trees give us oxygen, shade, wood for shelter, all that kind of stuff. But more importantly, how might a tree symbolically represent Melinda's life specifically? And it's that Melinda is that sick tree. She's learned how to recover. She has to learn how to recover and grow. As you can see, here's a sick tree where part of it has been diseased, part of it is messed up, but the whole tree is not completely rotten. She has to learn how to recover from this and come back to where she needs to be. And she does this with first a little writing on the wall. She writes on the bathroom wall, guys to stay away from, Andy Evans. She makes herself a list, a new thread as she calls it. And Ivy gives her the inspiration. They've now started talking to each other, and she gives the inspiration to do this. But it's still a more passive underground approach. It is not quite there to that aggressive stance yet. She thinks this might work better than roaming around and yelling and screaming that he has done this to her. It's sort of a more of a subversive or manipulative approach. Why does Melinda finally reveal the truth to Rachel? How How does she do it? She does it slowly. She talks about other things to warm up the conversation about Andy. And then after she talks, it gets hard to talk about it, and so she resorts to sort of back and forth note writing on the notebook. Why does she do this? She does this because Rachel is at that point where she's going to prom. There might be a problem with Andy, and this is her friend. Going back to that same other question, she's worried about her friend. Even though that friendship is broken, it's still an important person to her. How does Rachel react to Melinda's revelation? Rachel's sympathetic with the fact that Melinda was raped, but when she tells her that it was Andy that did it, she calls her a liar. She says no, and she storms off. What does Ivy show Melinda in the bathroom? There's all those comments from other girls saying that Andy is bad. Stay away from him. He treated me badly. Call the police on him. So Melinda starts to see that she's not alone. She says, I feel like I can fly. Suddenly, she's not the only one that's had things happen to her, and she feels like it's a difference now. How is her mood changing? She is accepting of the situation. She says, I have survived. I am here. And she refers to seeds, to growth, to new life. She says, I ride like I have wings. I'm not tired. I don't think I'll ever have to sleep again. Her behavior, she starts riding her bike out. She stands up to Heather. Heather has come and asked her about, after she broke off that friendship, she came back and said, oh, I need so much help with the prom. And Melinda says no. and Heather's like, please. And she's like, no, I'm sorry, no. And so she's starting to open up. She's starting to stand up for herself, starting to speak out. Just slowly, little things, cleaning up. What happens at the prom? Rachel ditches Andy in the middle of the dance floor. He starts dancing with her suggestively, and she just leaves him. And people are starting to see. They're starting to see him for what he is. Nice little slap there. She doesn't really slap him, but I just thought that was cute. Why doesn't Melinda need her secret closet anymore? She doesn't want to hide. She's ready to come on out into the world. She doesn't need to be a burrowing bunny. What happens when Melinda gets attacked, and how does Melinda react differently this time? She defends herself. She gets a piece of glass, she holds it against Andy's throat, and the lacrosse team finds them before anything happens. This is her aggressive. She's been passive for a while, and now it is definitely aggressive to grab a piece of glass and defend yourself. She's not going to be a scared rabbit anymore. How does Melinda's spinal tree art reflect her own life? It reflects that one in her yard that was diseased. Her father has to cut the branch off of it, and she's worried about it's gonna kill the tree. And he says no, it'll grow back. It'll be one of the strongest trees in the neighborhood. And her final tree looks like that. It has a branch that's sort of caddywonked, and it's got new growth coming out of it, and birds flying around it. And it kind of shows that she was sick, but she's growing. She's getting past that pain, and she's moving on. And what symbol of hope does Melinda add? It's the birds. How does Melinda's reputation change once the truth is revealed? People start to accept her. A senior she doesn't know even compliments her courage, and Rachel wants Melinda to call her. She says, I have suddenly become popular. She realizes that she must stand up. She must speak out. She cannot remain silent. And there you get the title of the book, Speak. It comes from I cannot speak, I have no voice, to I will speak out. I do have a voice. I'm here. And that's the end of the study guide questions. Thank you.